Today, we are digging into the collapse of a trucking giant. We're going to look at what it means for every single driver's financial security, because this story, it's a big deal.
It's a question that probably keeps a lot of hardworking people up at night. I mean, you put in the miles, you do the work, and you trust that the benefits you've earned are going to be there for you. But as the whole situation with Yellow Corporation showed us, that security can just vanish, literally in an instant. So here's the bottom line, the thing that kicked this all off. It started with missed payments. Just that simple phrase ended up impacting tens of thousands of lives and sent, huge shockwaves through the entire industry. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll decode some key terms you got to know. Then we'll walk through the timeline of the collapse, analyze the financial fallout, and this is the most important part, give you a practical plan to protect yourself. And we'll wrap it up with the one key takeaway from this whole mess. Okay, first things first. To really get what happened at Yellow, we've got to be on the same page about a few really critical definitions. These are terms that affect every union driver out there. Let's start with pension accrual. The easiest way to think about it is like you're filling a bucket for your retirement with every single week you work. And the company's contributions, that's the water going into the bucket. Well, for Yellow drivers, on July 23, 2023, the company didn't just turn off the water, they kicked the whole bucket over. And then you've got your health and welfare contributions. This is the money your company pays into a separate fund, like Team Care, for example, that covers your family's health insurance. And this, right here, is where things can go wrong incredibly fast. See, if those payments stop, the fund can and absolutely will terminate your coverage, a lot of times with very little warning. And finally, there's the multi-employer pension plan. Now, this is a fascinating concept. It's a really smart system where a whole bunch of companies in the same industry, like trucking, all pay into one giant pension pot. It's designed to spread the risk around. But, and this is the big catch, it also means that when a massive company like Yellow suddenly bails, it blows a huge financial hole in the fund that can threaten everybody. So now that we've got the terms down, let's look at the timeline. And what's really shocking here is just how fast a company that had been around for a century could completely fall apart. Man, it all unraveled with just breathtaking speed. So in mid-July 2023, the news breaks. Yellow misses over $50 million in benefit payments. The union, of course, immediately issues a strike notice. Just 2 weeks later, 2 weeks, on July 30th, the company shuts its doors for good. And then, less than a week after that, thousands of families lose their health insurance. The collapse itself was fast, but the legal mess, that's been dragging on, with a huge court ruling in September 2024 and a final settlement not even expected until late 2025. It was a quick implosion, but a very, very long and painful cleanup.
So what was the real-world impact of all this? Let's dig into the massive financial consequences. And it's really important here to separate what we know for a fact from, all the opinions and accusations that were flying around at the time.
Okay, on one side, you have the cold, hard facts. These are the things we know for sure. Yellow missed the payments. They shut down on July 30th. Pension accruals stopped, and the company's assets are being sorted out in bankruptcy court. That's all confirmed. But on the other side, you've got the allegations. The Teamsters came out swinging, blaming gross mismanagement. And this wasn't just in hindsight either. Even before the company went under, a financial analyst was already warning that it was more likely than not that Yellow would go out of business. So who really felt the pain here? Well, the active union drivers, they got hit the hardest. They lost their jobs, their health insurance, and their ability to keep growing their pensions. All of it, just gone. But, and this is a really important point that was a huge relief for a lot of folks, the current retirees, the ones already getting their pension checks, they were not affected. Their payments kept coming. The rest of the industry felt the shockwave too, right? Over 30,000 jobs just disappeared, and all that freight had to go somewhere. So it all shifted over to Yellow's competitors, basically overnight. So why did missing those payments lead to such an absolute disaster? Well, it all comes down to this really critical and kind of complicated idea called withdrawal liability. This is basically a huge penalty a company has to pay when it pulls out of one of these multi-employer pension plans.
And honestly, this is the analogy that made it all click for me. Just think of it like a group of friends renting a big house together. The pension plan promised all these benefits based on a certain number of companies paying their rent, right? So when Yellow just up and moved out, they couldn't just walk away. They owed this massive penalty to cover their share of the future promises so that all the other companies and their employees weren't left holding the bag.
And when I say the penalty was massive, I mean, it's truly staggering. The pension funds initially filed claims for over $7.4 billion in withdrawal liability. That's billion with a B. Just an incredible number. But here's the problem. After selling off every last truck and terminal, Yellow's entire estate, everything they had left, was only worth around $650 million. There was just no way to pay that $7.4 billion bill. It left this huge gap and forced everyone into a settlement for pennies on the dollar.
Okay, let's turn this whole story into something practical that you can actually use. How can you protect yourself? This next part is all about spotting the warning signs and taking real steps to lock down your own financial future. So, how can you spot trouble before it lands on your doorstep? Here are 5 red flags you can watch for at any company. Are your paychecks ever late, even by a day or two? Are there suddenly weird problems with fuel cards or getting your truck into the shop? Do you start hearing rumors from vendors or repair shops that they're not getting paid? Are a bunch of execs suddenly quitting? Or is a company constantly coming to the union asking for emergency concessions? Any one of these things could be a sign of really serious financial trouble. So what can you do right now, today, to protect yourself? Here is your 7-step checklist. First, get your paperwork together. Pay stubs, benefit statements, all that stuff. Second, save the phone numbers for your union hall and your benefits administrator right in your phone. Third, go online and create your logins for all your benefits portals so you can check them. And here's the most important one. Every now and then, just pick up the phone, call your fund, and ask one simple question. Are all my employer contributions paid up to date? And finally, actually read your union mail, try to build an emergency fund, and take some time to understand the rules of your own plan. It's all about being proactive. Whew, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's just boil it all down to the single most important lesson from the entire collapse of Yellow Corporation. After all of this, what's the one thing you absolutely need to remember? It's this. Your health and pension contributions are not a gift. They are part of your pay. They're wages that you have earned. You have to treat them like money in the bank, and you have to watch over their health just as closely as you watch your weekly paycheck. That is the ultimate lesson here.
So what about you? Have you ever seen some of these warning signs at a company, or maybe even had to deal with a shutdown yourself? Share your story down in the comments. It could really help another driver out there. And hey, make sure you subscribe for more explainers that break down the issues that really matter. Thanks for watching.